Carole Sager is here at the age of only 19. She wrote her first #1 song, A Groovy Kind of Love. Since then, she's written such hit songs as That's What Friends Are For, On My Own, and It's My Turn. Her songs have been recorded by artists as diverse as Barbra Streisand, Frank Sinatra, Bob Dylan, Michael Jackson, Phil Collins, and Celine Dion. Her lyrics have earned her an Oscar, a Grammy, a Golden Globe, and a place in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Along with David Foster, she is currently nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Original Song for The Prayer. I am pleased to have her on this program to talk about this process of writing songs and how she's been able to write so many with so many different people and write so well for such a number of years. Thank you for coming.
Well, thanks for having me.
Great to see you. I first met you a long, long time ago when you were married to Burt Bacharach.
Yes, and I met you with Shirley MacLaine.
And I came up to have dinner, and it was great.
And I still see a lot of Shirley, and I watch a lot of your shows, so I feel like we've stayed connected.
Yeah. How do you feel about this song?
The Prayer?
Yes.
Well, I have a few songs that are eligible for this. This was the only one nominated for a Golden Globe, so I feel like they're all my children. You know, I have a song with Carole King that she and I wrote for You've Got Mail for Nora Ephron, and we're thrilled with that. And David Foster and Carole and I wrote a song for One True Thing, the Meryl Streep movie that Bette Midler sang, called One True Friend. And so they're all equally important to me, but The Prayer, which the Barn Press were kind enough to nominate, is it probably touches my heart in a special way because it was a dream to have Andrea Bocelli and Celine Dion sing this together for our movie. It was written for The Quest for Camelot, a 3.5-year process of animation. And they were supposed to sing it at the end credit, and Titanic was so huge at the time that Andrea was literally flying from Tuscany, Andrea Bocelli, to sing this song. David Foster and I were flying to New York from Los Angeles to record him, and we got a call from Celine's husband, Rene, saying, please forgive me, it just doesn't work for Celine to sing with Andrea right now. Titanic is huge, there'll be mass confusion as to what people should go out and buy, and so here's Andrea arriving speaking very little English, and we have to explain to him that, you know, Celine isn't showing up, and would he sing it anyway? Which he did. He was such a good sport, and he sang it alone, and Celine sings it in the movie as the mom, the voice of the mom in the movie. So they both sang it alone in the movie, and then when Celine was doing her Christmas album, These Are Special Times, she remembered The Prayer. And she asked Andrea, would he sing it with her? And it just was, you know, it was in its own time. It wasn't our time. It wasn't what we had in mind, but it happened. And it's starting to have a life of its own.
When it began, when did this song come into being?
Well, I guess David and I, about maybe 2 years, a little more years ago, when we were thinking that the mother needed a song to pray for her daughter's safety, because it's the young girl going off.
Do you start with an idea? Do you start with a title? Do you start with
idea? This was an idea. I said, let's write a prayer. I said, let's write a prayer. Never thinking we'd call it The Prayer, you know. So that's kind of so. David just, I used to get him to come to my music room because I made better lunch than he. But otherwise, I had to drive out to Malibu, which was 35 minutes away. So most of the time, he'd come to me reluctantly, but looking forward to lunch. And he just started playing something. He's so facile. I mean, anything and the other thing is, you have to be careful, because anything David plays sounds great, because he puts little strings on, he puts a little, you know, he has such a magnificent talent. It's like writing with Elton John. Anything he sings is going to sound great. You have to be very careful when you have this kind of talent around you.
Do you write all the lyrics before he puts the music to it?
I wrote nothing. I hear the music, and then the music starts to take me places. And so I'll say to him, I pray you'll be our eyes, because I hear it. And then he'll play more. And it's very collaborative. It's really, you know, people, which comes first. With David and myself, literally it was like this. It's just together.
Now, has it been that way with everybody?
No.
The collaboration differs with every artist.
Yeah, they differ. Marvin Hamlish left me the melody to Nobody Does It Better and went to England to score the Spy Who Loved Me. And I sat there and played it over and over and over until I got the lyric, you know. So everything's different.
Yeah.
Burt Bacharach was given the lyrics to Alfie by Hal David and said, here, you know, what's it?
Write a song to it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all he had was a lyric.
That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
But my preference is to be in the room with someone live, and you're at the piano and I'm here, and I like to sing things and go, well, what about this? And they go no or yes, and if they are happily, they can. I mean, when I write with Carole King, which is something we're doing a lot of, because we're
write
doing
together.
Yes, we're doing an album together for Carole, and you know, she happily throws in a lyric, and if I like it or we both like it, it's in, and if I sing something she likes, it's and that feels really, you know, it's not so cut and dry. You write the music, I write the lyrics, and we don't cross each other. Yeah.
Is it better or different writing with men or women?
I used to think there was a real difference back in the late 70s when I wrote a lot with Melissa Manchester, and I thought that our songs really touched women, you know, particularly because there were so many women fans. And in that case, I think it was different. I think we'd talk about our lives, and then we'd go to the piano, and something would come of what we spoke about. But I don't feel that difference now. I don't think I've ever written with anyone that hasn't ultimately been a friend of mine.
And she's remained a good friend of yours, hasn't she?
Melissa, yes.
Yeah.
She's great. She's really a great woman.
The Elton John song that was so popular.
That's what friends are for.
That's your favorite of all time, is it?
No, I didn't say that. But
some say that. You know that.
Well, I think what would make it my favorite, Charlie, is that the money that was raised, we donated to Amphor.
Right. All went to AIDS.
Everything. So, and we've protected the copyright so vigilantly, in that we don't let anyone use it for commercials or anything, because we want it, until there's a cure for this horrifying disease, we would like people to hear the song and identify it with Amphor and hope. So in that sense, maybe it would be my favorite. I'm not sure it's my favorite song I've ever written.
All right, then what's the best song you've ever written? I mean, where do you think you were at your absolute best?
I don't know. I wrote a song with Peter Allen. I used to write a lot with Peter Allen. I loved him. I miss him. And we wrote a song that wasn't even hugely successful. Two songs. One was called You and Me, We Wanted It All, that Frank Sinatra recorded, and one was called I'd Rather Leave While I'm in Love, that I recorded on a rather not very, huge album. But I love those two songs. So sometimes what I love is not necessarily the most successful. It could just be something that touches me for some reason.
When you hear great singers sing your stuff, I mean, do they take it to somewhere you never even imagined because of their skills?
Well, the prayer.
Interpretation, for example.
The prayer, I mean, that's a perfect example, because yes, they do. David Foster and I did this press junket for West for Camelot, and we had a piano, so they'd say to us, could you play a little of the prayer, or could you play a little of Looking Through Your Eyes, or whatever song they were interested in? And he'd play, and I'd sing, and you could see that they weren't like, oh my God. So then, you hear Celine Dion and Andrea Bocelli, which were like, I mean, if God could sing, he'd sing like either one of them, male and female. That's a God voice, And yeah, it goes to another place. It just goes to, and that's what thrills me. That's what still thrills me, is when Aretha Franklin, Celine Dion, Andrea Bocelli, Barbra Streisand, I could go on and on.
They make your words soar.
And you go, oh my God. I mean, it's like, it still is so amazing to me. Yeah.
Does it get easier because you've done it so well for so many years?
No, it gets harder, I think. I think it gets harder because, first of all, you can phone it in on one level, and then you really should give it up, when it's just, because you can do it. You can do it, but you want to do it as well as you've ever done it, and you want to be fresh. And also, music is changing so much. I mean, radio is changing. If you listen to the radio, and I'm not going to write rap songs. It's, it's not even remotely possible. So there's really a smaller, and hip hop, there's a smaller area in which I can do what I do.
When you look at songs that have just resonated with the public, songs like most of those we've been talking about, That's What Friends Are For, those kinds of songs, what do they have to have I mean, can you find, if it doesn't do this, then it will not be?
Well, for me, if they don't touch you emotionally, I mean, if they don't make you feel some large emotion, and if they don't make you want to hear it again, I mean, if there's something doesn't touch you, and I guess they have to have something memorable about them, whether it's a hit chorus, you know, melodically,
And so it has to be
or
something
a phrase that just stays with
that
you.
sticks with you.
Yeah, something.
When you started out doing this, is this what you wanted to do? Write songs?
Yeah, I got to do what I wanted to do.
Early on?
Yeah.
And then the collaborations with Marvin first.
Yes.
There was Sager came before Marvin, right?
Yeah, I was married.
I've forgotten about the first one.
Well, I didn't collaborate musically. I was married, and actually, I had a big hit as Carole Bayer, and I was married to a man named Andrew Sager, who basically said, "Well, wait a minute. I thought you wanted to get married. Aren't you going to use my name?" And so that's how I got Carole Bayer Sager. Was that people knew me as Carole Bayer, and I thought it was so hard to get to be known that I didn't want to like just change my name to Carole Sager. So. And start all over again, you know, going through the doors of publishers. So I was Carole Bayer Sager, and it just stayed, you know, long after the marriage ended. But actually, my first major collaboration, I think, was with Melissa and with Peter.
Yeah.
Peter Allen and Melissa Manchester.
And then Marvin.
And then Marvin, yeah.
Now, when the marriage gets in trouble, do the songs stop coming, or can you write through that?
Well, with Marvin and I, we wrote through it because we never were married.
Neil Simon wrote through it too.
Thank you. Well, that's how we wrote through it, is that Neil was going to do a whole nother, he was planning to do a show with Marvin based on the Gingerbread Lady, which now he's thinking about doing with me, which is kind of funny. But I guess Marvin would show up for these meetings and he'd say, "Oh, it's really so crazy. This girl that I'm dating, she's a lyricist, and it's like I feel like sometimes I want to shoot her because her song's on the charts and mine isn't." And Neil started to think that that was more interesting than what they were working on. So he asked me if I'd go to lunch. I remember he took me to lunch in Beverly Hills. And,
bad boy, Neil.
and said, "Listen, this is an idea I have. How would you feel about it? And tell me about your life." So I did both. I mean, I told him I'd feel great, and I told him about my life. But meanwhile, you know, the playing our song was definitely filtered through Neil Simon's
interpretation of what life was like for the two of them.
Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, because we were not doing as nearly as well. If we were, we'd have still been together, you know. But it was a sense of, it was such a good project, and Neil was so I felt so protected on that show. I mean, between Neil and Marvin, it was easy. It was fun to write. Much more fun than our relationship was becoming at that time for both of us. But we just knew that we had to see this show through, and we did.
And then came Bert.
Well, there was a little something in between.
But another musician.
And that
was that collaboration different than
way, because Marvin's process was very fast. I mean, Marvin could write 7 songs in the length of time that
he could write. I know he could sit on a piano with us and write a song that applies to what's happening right here.
That's right. They're having an interview. What do you think you'll do? and sometimes good. You know, sometimes I go like, what am I doing? If he could, what does he need me for? You know, but
and then why is he not doing better then if he can do this so easily? You know, better in a sense of, I mean, he could just grind these things out all the time.
Yeah, but they're not songs to him.
Yeah.
They're parodies and fun.
Right.
But Bert has, and I say this with due respect because he is a brilliant composer, and I, you know, feel privileged that we got the opportunity to write the songs we wrote. I also like to say I think our greatest collaboration is our son, Christopher.
Right. Does he have any musical talent?
Yeah, just not for our music.
I don't want to hear that stuff.
you wouldn't believe, but he's 13.
No, God, I bet he doesn't.
He's 13. Everything I play, Mom, it's just not cool. It's not cool, Mom. You know, but Bert's process was laborious, and I'm sure if he's watching, it still is. You know, Bert could spend hours on, do you like this chord, or do you like this chord? And I don't think he really cared which chord I like. I think it's his process. You know, I'd go, oh, I like that one, or it doesn't matter, but everything mattered to Bert. And that's what Friends Are For. There's a little pickup, you know, the song starts, and I never thought I'd feel this way. So I go, he's playing the melody, and I go, okay, how about, I never thought I'd feel this way? And he goes, no, you didn't hear me. I went, da da, da 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 da. So I go, but I can't start a song there. I'm just going to go, I never thought I'd feel this way. He goes, Carole, I said, da da. So I said, okay, so just say and. Just go, and I never thought I'd feel. So he did, and now I listen, I go, you know, that and works. I mean, I just kind of threw it in angrily. Okay, so started with and I, you know, but now I listen, I go, I like that. He knew to keep that. He fights for every 16th note is what I'm saying. Not fights, but it's important, every note.
Do you listen to, do you play your old songs all the time?
Oh,
do you
no,
hear, it's
no.
been a long time since you played
Oh, yeah.
a lot of the songs.
Yeah. Yeah. I just be like Sunset Boulevard, sitting in a room playing my old song.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I try to listen to the radio. I try to listen to CDs of people that are out
Listening
now.
for what?
What's happening? What are they writing? What are they interested in?
Is
What's
writing
going
of popular songs changing? In other words, is what Whitney Houston is doing different than what Jewel is doing, different than what...
Yeah. Yeah, it's all different. I mean, what Whitney's doing is different from what Jewel is doing, which is different than what Mariah's doing, perhaps. There's what's different than what Alanis is doing, and
right.
Madonna and Celine. Yeah.
Where would you rank Celine's voice among those voices that are...
Right at the top.
It's
right
that.
at the top.
Why
it
is that? What is it she has?
God, she has a gift. She has the most... Her voice is so pure. Her range is phenomenal. The purity, the notes that she can hit, the money notes. I mean, those notes are just not available to most pop singers. You know, you can go into opera, but that's not pop. And she has a sound. She has a sound that is unidentifiably Celine. You know, just as Barbara, nobody sounds like Barbara but Barbara.
And she has the same quality that Celine...
Well, she's in the same arena. I don't think that their voices truly sound alike.
No, but they have a sound.
They have a sound, and they
Barbara
have those
can reach
notes.
places
They have
that-
those notes, and they have the heart. You know, they have the heart and the brilliance, the phrasing, everything. So,
What does Sinatra have?
Sinatra, we talked about that on just recently on vacation, was one of a kind. He had the phrasing. He had a voice like no one else. I mean, there was only one Sinatra. I mean, it wasn't the greatest voice in the world, and yet it was. You know, it was the pop voice of a former generation, really, of maybe the greatest. Would you say the greatest pop voice of male of the last what?
I don't know who the competition is.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, he was. You could hear a pin drop when he sang. I mean, and you listened to every word. You felt like he lived it. You felt like he was singing with a wound in his heart. I felt that anyway.
When you write a song, and you finish it, and you hear it.
Finishing, it's always the best
That's what
part.
I want to say. When you know you've got it, when you, as we say, when you know that you have nailed it, do you want to go back and change it, or are you happy with it?
I'm always happy with it, but there are people that want to go back and change it, and I respect them, and I go back and I re-look at it, and I'm always so happy to be done. I mean, it's kind of like, it's such a painful process. I mean, it can be a joyful process, but there's always that, for me, there's always that feeling of, am I going to get this right? Is this the best word? Can I say this better? I mean, Carole King and I wrote the Nora Ephron You've Got Mail song 3 times until Nora was happy with it.
What was Nora's problem with it?
Well, you know, Nora is not a musician, so she can't say to you, you know, I'd rather have more major chords, or she'll say images, and you have to figure out.
She knows what she wants
She
because
knows
it's her movie.
exactly what she wants, but she'll say, well, it's not childlike enough, but yet I want the lyric to be intelligent. But I hear like children things, and she just.
Yeah.
So 3 times until we got what she wanted.
You're now married to Bob Daly, who is the co-chief executive of Warner Brothers. Did music play a role in you two coming together?
No, and I think that was the good news. I really do. No, it didn't. I know he has great respect for what I do, and when I ask him to listen to a song and what he thinks, he has very, very strong and definite opinions, but actually, it's a relationship that's truly based on just me being me without the songwriting, and Bob being Bob, and it's a wonderful relationship. It's very, I learn so much from him every day about what's really important in life, and about being a grown-up. I'm sorry to say at my age, but you know, really.
You want to associate with grown-ups, don't you?
Well, you know, he's just I got lucky. I think I really got lucky.
He's a good guy. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Congratulations on the Golden Globe.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.